Greetings, Royals. It is Constance from QueenlyMe.com, your place for tips, insight, and inspiration on relationships, purpose, and wellness. Today, I want to help you win some arguments. Who doesn't like to win a good argument? But what you first must understand about arguments is that nobody wins if the argument itself makes the situation worse than before it began. In a good argument, all feelings are addressed, all questions are answered, and all people involved in the argument have a better understanding of each other and they feel closer to each other after it's over. Dion, calling again. She called during my last video, but she's my best friend, so I have to answer. So let's go ahead and get into these 7 tips for winning an argument, because I know you got something on your heart that you just can't wait to get out on somebody's table. The first tip is to come to them first. The first person you should confide in, oh my gosh. The first person you should confide in about your relationship is the person you're in a relationship with. Do not go from friend to friend and, God forbid, social media talking about all the ins and outs of your relationship. And how foolish are you gonna look when the very next day you're gonna be all hugged up with them on Instagram because now the issue's resolved? You're gonna look really foolish after that because you made such a fuss. Not to mention, going to them first just shows respect for who you're in a relationship with and your relationship itself, because nobody wants to be in a relationship with somebody that's messy. Whatever. The second tip is to listen in order to understand and not just to respond. It's really easy to think up your comebacks or your responses while someone is speaking, but when you do that, you miss the majority of the things that they say. I personally hate repeating myself. It frustrates me, it angers me, and that's exactly what you have to do when you say something to someone and their response shows you that they didn't hear anything that you said. And if you want to win this argument, then the last thing you want to do is get angry or frustrated, because at that point, it all goes out the window. It's going to get worse from there. You should always go into a discussion with the intent to understand the other person's point of view and to be considerate of how they feel, because when you offer them that, then that's what they're going to give you in return. If both of you are only trying to explain your side, then you're going to end up talking circles around each other and nothing's going to get resolved. The third tip is to be a straight shooter. This is not the time to beat around the bush. I believe the quickest way to insult somebody is to be passive aggressive when you actually have the opportunity to be open and honest about something. Openness and communication is required. I'm just not the type of person that is going to sit up trying to pick up your little hints and your little passive aggression, trying to figure out if it was towards me, what it's about. If you don't come to me straightforward and be like, listen, you did this is how it made me feel, this is how I would like for this to go, what do you feel about it? Then I'm just gonna assume that whatever attitude you have, whatever actions you're doing, has nothing to do with me, because they haven't come to me and said anything. So it just must be something that they're dealing with. I need you to be a straight shooter. Do not beat around the bush with me. It's not gonna work. Why everybody wanna call as soon as I get situated to film? You guys, you've had all day. And if you can't do that, then there's really no reason for you to weigh in on any argument, because everything is going to be hidden in either pettiness or timidity. And nothing's going to get solved because the root of the issue is going to be under the surface. The fourth tip is to be humble, because you might be wrong. I cannot be the only person who has stuck my foot in my mouth during an argument before. So come into the argument with the idea that you could possibly be wrong, or that there might be some things that you are misunderstanding or some information that's missing. Do not let your assumptions and your suspicions get the best of you before you get the facts. because those things are very, very small. They're made up, they're imaginary, they're false most of the time, but they have the power to completely ruin your relationship. Tip number 5 is to not bring up old stuff. Okay? Leave the past in the past. Don't try to dig up things that have already been resolved, because doing this is only going to keep you in a cycle of unresolved issues. Stick to the matter at hand. Well, last summer you did this, and you did this last week. If you have to resort to this, then that probably means that you're either not confident in your argument, or that a part of you kind of knows that you're the one that's in the wrong. Tip number 6. I don't know if I've ever had this many tips, but they're necessary. Tip number 6 is do not yell and do not cuss. If you can't get your point across without acting crazy, then you're probably in the wrong. People often use overreactions and over-exaggerations to make the other person think that they know what they're talking about when they don't, or they're trying to get them to believe something that they're probably lying about. If you're confident in your truth and your ability to tell it, then you can do that calmly. You don't have to resort to raising your voice or acting out of character. Tip number 7 is to be prepared. Make a list if you have to. The worst thing in an argument is coming up with a bunch of points and a bunch of questions after it's already over. Oh my gosh, I hate that. Like, oh, I should have said this. Or you know what I should have asked them? The moment has passed, okay? The moment has passed. You want to leave the conversation knowing that you have clarity, that all of your questions are answered, that everything was laid out on the table. Leave nothing unsaid. Leave nothing undone. Put it all out there. And in the heat of the moment, you can kind of forget things. You can lose your train of thought. So a lot of times, it's really beneficial for you to jot things down, spend some time to reflect on really how you feel about whatever situation it is and why you feel that way, and just write it down so you'll be able to clearly explain that to the other person. And I really didn't have this down, but we'll say that this is tip 7.5. Do not interrupt anybody while they are talking. I cannot stand when people interrupt me because I completely lose my train of thought. And then it just shows me that you're disrespectful. You don't care about hearing my side. You don't care about understanding how I'm feeling. You're just trying to prove that you're right and get your point across. That right there, if you interrupt me, I'm probably just gonna call the whole thing off, because why are you here? If you're not here to hear me out and for us to have a conversation, a give and take, a listen and speak, then what are we wasting our time for? And another thing I don't like is to waste my time. So don't make me feel like I'm wasting my time by sitting down with you and having this discussion when you keep interrupting me. I'm getting mad right now. I cannot stand that. Okay. Calm down, Constancy. Okay, so I hope these tips helped you. I can always use some more help. So drop down in the comments some tips for me and my arguments for me to stay calm, because I got an attitude too. I'm spicy. I come from a family full of opinionated women, not to mention I'm 5'2". And short people, what we lack in height, we make up for in spunk. So help your sister out. Help me and drop some tips. I pray that you have a royal week and go win that argument. But remember, you can only win when everybody wins, not just you.